creators and subscribers, I just wanted to thank you all for tuning into my video. Today we're going to be going through the evolutionary origin of religions. So let's begin. Evolutionary origin of religions is a field of study related to evolutionary psychology, the origin of language and mythology, and cross-cultural comparison of anthropology of religion. Some subjects of interest include Neolithic religion, evidence for spirituality or cultic behavior, and the Upper Paleolithic and similarities in great ape behavior. The use of burial rituals is thought to be evident of religious activity, and there is no other evidence that religion existed in human culture before humans reached behavioral modernity. Burial of the dead is the act of placing the corpse of a dead person in a tomb constructed for that purpose, or in a grave dug into the earth. Burial of the dead in the grounds have been traced back over 100,000 years of civilization, as evidenced by the grave in Israel. A group tomb of 15 people buried in a cave, along with their tools and other ritual artifacts. The earliest grave uncovered thus far in Europe is that of the Red Lady of Wales, which is 29,000 years old. Other evidence have revealed that Homo neanderthals made cave art, which would be a manner of symbolic thinking comparable to the manner required for religious thought. Relevant prerequisites for human religion: increased brain size. The religious mind is one consequence of a brain that is large enough to formulate religious and philosophical ideas. The cerebral neocortex is presumed to be responsible for the neural computations underlying complex phenomena such as perception, thought, language, attention, episodic memory, and voluntary movement. Religion may have grown out of the evolutionary changes which favored larger brains as a means of cementing group coherence among savanna hunters, after the larger brain enabled reflection of the inevitability of personal mortality. How to improve neocortex: be optimistic, follow a sleep routine, stay away from unnecessary drama, exercise such as sports, dancing, or yoga, express gratitude, be of service, and volunteer. Listen to prefrontal cortex activation music, stick to a daily routine, meditate and prayer, and balanced nutritious diet. Casual beliefs may have emerged from tool use, played a major role in the evolution of belief. Mourning the dead and noticing things that have only aesthetic values, like sunsets, both which may be components of religion or spirituality. Development of language. Religion requires a system of symbolic communication, such as language, to be transmitted from one individual to another. Human religious thought and moral sense clearly rest on the cognitive linguistic base. Religious rituals usually involve dance and music. They are also very verbal. It's very evident that as humans grew more advanced brains, they had the capability to verbalize a language, and therefore language had the capability to describe phenomena, supernatural events, and spirituality, thus forming a connection with language and religion. Here are some ancient tools that are hypothesized to be used during these time periods. The theory is, belief in the supernatural emerges from hypotheses arbitrarily assumed by individuals to explain natural phenomena that cannot be explained otherwise. Religion also plays a part in the need to share individual hypotheses with others, leads eventually to collective religious beliefs. And a socially accepted hypothesis becomes dogmatic, backed by social sanctions. more relevant prerequisites for human religion: morality and group living, attachment and bonding, cooperation and mutual aid, sympathy and empathy, direct and indirect reciprocity, altruism and reciprocal altruism, conflict resolution and peacemaking, deception and deception detection, community concern and caring about what others think about you, and awareness and response to the social rules of a particular group. Morality may have involved in these bands of 100 to 200 people as a means of social control, conflict resolution, and group solidarity. Religion emerged after morality, built upon morality by expanding the social scrutiny of individual behavior to include supernatural agents. The two main schools of thought hold that either religion evolved due to natural selection and has selective advantage, or that religion is an evolutionary byproduct of other mental adaptations. One controversial proposal, the God gene hypothesis, states that some variants of specific gene, the VMAT2 gene, are predisposed to spirituality. Collective religious beliefs draw upon the emotions of love, fear, and is deeply embedded in the limbic system throughout socio-biological conditioning and social sanctions. Human religion was a byproduct of the increase in dopaminergic functions in the human brain and a general intellectual expansion beginning around 80,000 years ago. Dopamine promotes an emphasis on distance, space, and time, which is critical for establishing of religious experiences. And here on this slide is the VMAT2 gene on the left, featured here, and it shows how it allows dopamine, it looks like, to get inside the brain more efficiently. So there are a few ways to increase dopamine. You can consume probiotics, exercise often, get enough sleep, listen to classical music, meditate, get enough sunlight, take a multivitamin, take tyrosine, ginkgo biloba, or drink green tea. The earliest shamanic cave paintings date back around 40 million years ago. Then the use of rock art predates this, and there is clear evidence of abstract thinking along the coast of South Africa 80 million years ago. See some of those cave paintings depicted in these two photographs on the slide. Prehistoric evidence of religion. The exact time when humans first became religious remains unknown. However, research in evolutionary archaeology shows credibility evidence of religious ritualistic behavior from around the Middle Paleolithic era, which happened 45 to 200,000 years ago. The earliest evidence of religious thought is based on the ritual treatment of the dead. Ritual burials present an awareness of life and death and possibly belief in the afterlife. Burials with grave goods clearly signifies religious practices, concern for the dead that transcends daily life. The earliest evidence of treatment of the dead comes from Spain. At this location, the bones of 30 individuals believed to be Homo heidelbergensis have been found in a pit. The presence of these grave goods may indicate an emotional connection with the deceased and possibly a belief in the afterlife. Neanderthal burial sites include in Shanidai in Iraq, some in Croatia, and Kebara Cave in Israel. The use of the symbolism in religion is a universal established phenomenon, common for religious practices to involve the creation of images and symbols to represent supernatural beings and ideas. Due to the association of art, religion, and evidence of symbolism in the fossil record is indicative of a mind capable of religious thoughts. Art and symbolism demonstrates a capacity for abstract thought and imagination necessary to construct religious ideas. Some of the earliest evidence of symbolic behavior is associated with Middle Stone Age sites. Origins of organized religion. Organized religion traces its roots to the Neolithic revolution that began 11,000 years ago in the Near East, but may have occurred independently in several other locations around the world. The Near East makes up of Western Asia, Turkey, Egypt, and Anatolia. You can see a map of the Mid-East and Near East here on this slide. The invention of agriculture transformed many human societies from a hunter-gatherer lifestyle to a sedentary lifestyle. Organized religion emerged as a means for providing social and economic stability throughout the following ways: justifying central authority, which in turn possessed the right to collect taxes in return for providing social and security services. Religions that revolved around moralizing gods may have facilitated the rise of large cooperative groups of unrelated individuals. The states born out of the Neolithic revolution, such as those of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, were theocracies, with chiefs, kings, and emperors playing dual roles of political and spiritual leaders. Anthropologists have found that virtually all state societies and chiefdoms from around the world have been found to justify political power through divine authority. Invention of writing. Invention of writing happened 5,000 years ago. Printing helped speed the communication exponentially and became the mainspring of cultural evolution. Writing is thought to have been first invented in either Sumeria or ancient Egypt and was initially used for counting. First religious text marked the beginning of the religious history of humankind. The pyramid texts from Egypt are one of the oldest known religious texts in the world, dating to between 2400 to 2300 BCE. You can check out more about the pyramid text in another video. There's various breakdowns and chapters. You'll be able to learn all about it there. Writing played a major role in sustaining and spreading organized religion. In pre-literate societies, religious ideas were based on oral tradition. Invention of writing. Writing therefore enabled religions to develop coherent and comprehensive doctrine systems that remained independent of time and place. So now we will go through the timeline of religion from 200,000 BC to 2345 BC. So there was potential bear worship. 100,000 BC, earliest known human burials started to pop up in the Middle East. 70,000 to 35,000 BCE, Neanderthal burial sites take place in areas of Europe and the Middle East. 40,000 BCE, the remains of the earliest known anatomical modern humans to be discovered, cremated, was buried near Lake Mangu. 38,000 BCE, the Laotian figurine, the oldest known zoomorphic animal-shaped sculpture in the world and one of the oldest known sculptures in general, was made. 35,000 to 26,000 BCE, Neanderthal burials are absent from the archaeological period. This roughly coincides with the time period of the Homo sapiens introduction to Europe and decline of the Neanderthals. 35,000 to 26,000 BCE, the oldest discovered Venus figurines appeared in graves. 25,000 to 21,000 BCE, clear examples of burials are present in Iberia, Wales, and Eastern Europe. 13,000 to 8,000 BCE, noticeable burial activity resumed. Prior mortuary activity had either taken a less obvious form, or contemporaries retained some of the burial knowledge in the absence of such activity. They were now beginning to take on the form of modern cemeteries. Large stones may have acted as grave markers. Pairs of antlers were sometimes mounted on poles within the caves. This is compared to the modern practice of leaving flowers at a grave. So if you want to learn more about the caves and the paintings within those caves in the ancient times, you can check out this book, The Mind in the Cave. It's beyond the scope of this lesson, but it gives you an in-depth understanding about spirituality and cave art. 9,130 to 7,370 BCE. This was the apparent period of use of Göbekli Tepe, one of the oldest human man-made sites of worship yet discovered. Evidence of similar usage has also been found in another nearby site. If you want to learn more about Göbekli Tepe, I recommend reading the following book, Göbekli Tepe, Genesis of the Gods, the Temple of the Watchers, and the Discovery of Eden. And spoilers, inside the book it will reveal the true location of the Garden of Eden. 7,500 to 5,700 BCE, the settlements of Kaltahuik developed as a likely spiritual center of Anatolia, possibly practicing worship in communal shrines. Its inhabitants left behind numerous clay figurines and impressions of feminine and hunting scenes. 3,750 BCE, the Proto-Semitic people emerged from a generally accepted Yerachmet in the Arabian Peninsula and Levant. The Proto-Semitic people would have migrated throughout the Near East to Mesopotamia, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the eastern shore of the Mediterranean. 3,300 to 1,300 BCE, the Indus Valley Civilization was a Bronze Age civilization in the northwestern region of the Indian subcontinent, noted for its cities built of brick, roadside drainage system, and multi-storied houses. See a map of the Indus civilization on this slide. 3,200 to 3,100 BCE, Newgrange. The 2,050-ton passage tomb aligned to the winter solstice in Ireland was built. And if you want to learn more about this site, which is beyond the scope of this teaching, I recommend reading the book Newgrange, Monument to Immortality. 3,100 BCE, the initial form of Stonehenge was completed. A circular bank and ditch enclosure about 110 meters across may have been completed with a timber circle. And if you want to learn more about that site, which is beyond the scope of this video, you can check out the following video linked on this slide, Solving the Mysteries of the Greatest Stone Age Monument, Stonehenge, A New Understanding. 3000 BCE, Sumerian cuneiform emerges from the Proto-Literature Uruk period, allowing the codification of beliefs, creation of detailed historical religious records. Second phase of Stonehenge was also completed during this time and appeared to function as the first enclosure cremation cemetery in British Isles. 2635 to 2610 BCE, the oldest surviving Egyptian pyramids was commissioned. 2600 BCE, Stonehenge began to take on its final form. The wooden posts were replaced with blue stone. It began taking on an increasingly complex setup, including an altar, a portal, station, stones, and shows Consideration: solar alignments. 2560 BCE. This is the approximate time accepted as the completion of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the oldest pyramid of the Giza Plateau, and from 2494 to 2345 BCE, the first of the oldest surviving religious texts, the Pyramid Text, was composed in ancient Egypt, and you can see a depiction of those texts here on this slide. That concludes the teaching of the evolutionary origin of religions. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe, and you have a good afternoon or evening.